Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Basics Podcast. I'm Emily and this is Dawn. And today we are going to be talking about whole grains. So, before we dive in, quick recap on who we are. So, again, my name is Emily. I am a certified plant-based nutrition coach and fitness trainer. Have a massive love for nutrition and fitness. And Dawn and I have a lot of similarities, which is why we're here doing this podcast. But before, I steal your thunder, Dawn, would you like to tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name's Dawn Hutchins. I'm the founder of a company called Veggie Cooking, where we teach plant-based cooking for weight loss, vitality, and long-term health. I'm the director of plant-based nutrition and run a corporate wellness program for a large company based out of Walnut Creek, California. And then I'm a plant-based chef, and I also have recently gotten my personal training certification through NASM. So I'm really excited about that and to dive into all things fitness as well, because I'm really passionate about that as well.
Yes, again, a lot of
So
similarities
many
here. So,
similarities. Yes.
yes, that's why this works so well. And when we have our pre-conversations, sometimes they last a long time because we have a lot to talk about.
It's true.
All right. So, like I said, today we are talking about whole grains. So, last episode we talked about protein, which is a great lead in because whole grains do have protein. They're not the main source by any means, but they do have protein, a lot of other nutrients in there. So, whole grains are often misunderstood. Carbs get into the mix and carbs are bad. So, there's a lot of misconception there. And that's why we're meeting today. So, Dawn, what are whole grains? Let's start off there.
Whole grains are a whole intact grain that has the bran, the germ, and the endosperm. So the bran has fiber, the germ has all these vitamins and nutrients, and the endosperm is kind of the outer shell that provides a lot of the energy.
Mm-hmm. And then with refined grains, so we have those three things that are in the whole grain. Refined grain is taking one of those, I think just one, maybe in some instances two. I think it's just one,
Yeah.
out of the equation. So you're stripping the nutrients out, and that's what the refined. So, for instance, whole wheat flour versus white flour. We'll give more examples later, but that's just kind of a basic rundown. So whole
Yeah,
grains have all of everything intact, and they are just a nutrition powerhouse. So,
they are.
so
A lot of times
why?
they're
Oh,
refining the grains to make them more shelf stable.
and I feel like the taste. I
And the
don't know
taste.
if that's just
Yeah.
like has developed over time, but I mean, I know like if I'm out at an Asian restaurant and they have white rice with their meal, I'm like, oh, that is so good. And then I have my I have my brown rice and I'm like, that's not quite the same. But if I cook it well, it's better. But it's like white rice. I mean, in my opinion, I think white rice tastes better, but I know I'm getting so many more nutritional benefits from the whole grain. And when I mix it in and stuff, it's like, oh, that's disgusting. So it's like you
Yes.
just eat it.
Yeah, I
But I
know.
do think when they refine the grain, it does. I mean, it's taking out the some of the nutrients and fibers and stuff, and it just like, in my
Yes.
opinion, sometimes tastes better. But we're not going just off of taste because we have a body to maintain and to do good
Right.
things for. So
All the
healthy.
benefits. Yeah.
Yes. So good lead in here. Why do whole grains matter?
Whole grains are, like we said, they're the whole intact grain. They're full of fiber. They help slow digestion down. And like you said, they have so many vitamins and nutrients. They have some protein. They fight heart disease. I think we mentioned, did I mention balancing blood sugar? And so people are really worried about carbohydrates in general. But the funny thing is we were talking about this offline, nobody's eating whole grains. Nobody's getting spelt or farro. Very few people are cooking these from scratch because they take a little bit of time. You have to do some prep work. And so when we're demonizing all carbohydrates, I just feel like that we cannot do that. We can't do that with whole grains because they react so differently in our bodies.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like the blanket statement of carbs are bad, where,
Hmm.
in a previous episode, we did talk about carbs and we talked about complex versus simple, and, those
Right.
whole grains fall in that complex. But it's like you think of category. Sorry, I didn't finish this in complex category. But you think of like going to restaurants, which I do feel like is the major trend nowadays for eating, DoorDash and pickup or going dining out with family and stuff. And it's like whole grains are hard to find in most restaurant settings. I think of one off the top of my head, like Qdoba and Chipotle, which I do absolutely love those places if I am going to eat out. And it's like they have white rice or brown rice. So it's like there's an option there, but most places are not offering brown rice and farro,
No.
especially some of those like more unique whole grains to our world, at least. Like farro, I know I mentioned that to someone the other day, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I have no idea what farro is, and it's like, "Oh, it's a whole grain." I did my whole spiel.
Yeah.
Um, Poster child for farro,
Yeah.
but there's just, I mean, there's some, I guess, a few unique restaurants that have them, but overall, if you're not cooking them at home, like you said, you're probably not getting those whole grains. There's also like whole grain bread versus white bread, but
Mhm.
also even that gets tricky and there's gray areas because a lot of times it says it's wheat and it's not actually whole wheat, which I think we talked about
Correct.
this in a previous episode, but it has to
Yep.
say in the ingredients whole wheat or
Correct.
it's not the whole wheat in the whole grain.
Yep. Whole wheat or sprouted. I think Ezekiel bread has sprouted.
Yeah, I was gonna say I love that Food for Life, I think is the brand.
Yes.
I think that's what you're talking about.
Yep.
And they'll have the Ezekiel, they have other breads and it's like they're all sprouted grain. And if you look at the ingredient list, it's like so nutritiously rich. I feel like
Yes.
I've said nutritiously rich so much the last couple of days. That it's like you're getting so much from that, and then you compare that to white bread, and it's like, yeah, that's a big difference. So
Right. And I definitely think if you pay attention to how you feel after you eat these things, if you eat a piece of white bread, you're hungry so quickly after because you're getting that blood sugar spike. And if you're eating a piece of Ezekiel bread, you're definitely fuller longer for sure because you're getting all that fiber and vitamins and nutrients, and
hmm
it takes so much longer to digest. I mean, I also, though, it's so interesting because I do think that those whole wheat and things like Ezekiel bread, I have to toast them because they tend to be much more dense. Once I toast
hmm
them, I think they're delicious. But you can't really make a peanut butter and jelly out of like a raw piece of Ezekiel bread. So it's just a
yeah.
little bit of a tweak in maybe preparation.
Yeah, and your taste buds adjust too from the taste standpoint. But I agree, it's a lot more dense. And there's like that same brand they make cinnamon raisin
Oh, yes.
English muffin,
Yes.
and I need to get them again. But I know peanut butter is a little calorie dense and fat dense, but it was like my snack for like a couple weeks in a row is the Ezekiel muffin. English
Uh,
muffin. I feel like
English
muffins
muffin.
sound so
Yeah.
unhealthy.
Yeah.
With some natural peanut butter, a little bit
Yum.
of agave, and I was like, "Oh, it's so good." But I ran out of peanut butter or something, so I was just having the muffin, and it was toasted. I'm like, "It's boring," but I'm like, "It's not that." Like I got used to it by the end of the week, and I was like, "Oh, it's a little sweet." And I'm like, "That's
Yeah.
pretty bad." There's no sweetness in that. It's just a couple raisins and some cinnamon. So it's like your taste can really change.
That is so true. You just give yourself a chance to like let your taste buds adjust. But I think that quality is relatively rare.
Yeah, probably. It's funny, just because you just mentioned it's on my mind. My husband and I, we were leaving the pool the other day, and we had these like dried fruit wraps, and it's like there's nothing bad, like they're just fruit, and I get a pinch of carrot juice, or whatever it is, and I took a bite, and I was like, oh my gosh, my taste buds, I was like, they are screaming because it was so sweet. And he took a bite and he did the exact same thing. I was like, is it right here? And he's like, it's right there. And we are like freaking out. I'm like, we sound lame.
Yeah.
But it was like, I mean, if we had candy and then we have that, it's gonna be like, oh, this is boring and gross. But it's like our taste
Right.
buds have just adjusted. And
That is
that, whew,
true.
that was sweet, let me tell you. And it's just dried fruit and some carrot juice. Woo.
It is fascinating. And I've heard it takes 14 days, it takes 21 days. I don't know. I guess I just keep going until I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But like I said, I understanding how my husband works, that definitely not a normal quality. I don't think, like, he refuses to eat things that don't taste good. So
Yeah,
I
yeah, it's
yeah.
different. Yeah, and I know we're very similar page as far as like we want to nourish our body. So
Yes. So I'm willing to get through the adjustment period.
yeah, yeah, that's I know because I'll still have unhealthy stuff. Sometimes it's like I'll make some homemade cupcakes that have vegan butter and sugar, and I mean they're not great for you at all. And it's like woo wee, that's sweet. And then it's like it'll take you know what I mean a few days of not having it, and then I start to adjust and I get back. So it's like, but I know based on like schooling and nutrition studies and stuff that it's like not everyone can do that. So it's like know yourself because some people will just go down a binging, you know,
That
rabbit
is
hole and it's like they won't go back up to the healthy. So it's like know yourself. I'm not promoting eat vegan cupcakes all the time by any means. But let's
that is
dive
a good point.
into let's dive into what counts as a whole grain, like food wise. Give us some examples.
So I use oats a lot, barley, millet, farro, spelt, buckwheat, of course, brown rice and wild rice, I think are some of the common ones. Did I say quinoa? I can't remember
Mhm.
if I said
I think so.
quinoa. Those are some of the common ones.
Yeah, I was gonna say you extended my list, and I think I need to add a little more variety, like spelt. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not one that's in my wheelhouse at all, but I should have
And
it
a
more.
lot of these you really have to order online because they're not going to be in the majority of your standard grocery stores because nobody's making them. Nobody's cooking them.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair.
So it's definitely something that you might be able to find at Whole Foods. But even places like Trader Joe's, I really can only find farro sometimes.
Yeah,
And then I can
quinoa is an
find it.
easy one.
Yep.
Brown rice is
Quinoa.
easy.
Yep.
Farro is a medium, and then yeah, and then it gets harder. And barley, I can't remember if you mentioned barley. That one I found to be usually in the grocery store. And oats, obviously, that's an easy one
Yeah.
to find. But yeah, some of those other ones, and especially if you love cooking, if you're watching this and you love cooking, it's fun to experiment with them, see which ones you like, see what you can make with them. If you know grind it up into a powder and make banana bread with it. I know I've done that before. I'll do that with like oats and make oat flour desserts and stuff just to make them healthier and whole grain. So, oh, and popcorn. We did talk about that before.
Yes.
Popcorn's a whole
Popcorn.
grain. But
Yes. That always makes
remember,
people happy.
yeah, I was gonna say, but remember when you dump butter on it, it's
Yeah.
really you know you're adding a lot of negative there. But popcorn's a good one, and thank goodness because it's like more of a snack. So
It
that's a
is.
good
It's a
snack that you
good
can have.
snack. Yep.
So let's talk when we were kind of getting into it there, but like what some meals with whole grains look like.
So I would make, of course, oats in the morning. I will often make bean burgers and add whole grains in there. So I've started cooking. I bought through this company called Asia Standard, where they have amazing prices on bulk whole grains, and you
Hmm,
can get 25 pounds of, 25-pound bags of things.
my
The only thing
goodness.
is they deliver once a month, and you have to go to a drop location.
Mm,
So it's kind of an interesting setup how they do it, but you can get grains and beans in such big bulk for so cheap.
hmm,
So I've gotten spelt or farro or millet, and I'll just cook a bunch of it up and use it. Like I said, in burgers, I will put it in bowls because a lot of times I'll make bowls with maybe I've done a tofu bacon or scrambled tofu, or I'm having a salad. I sometimes will put it over a salad and it makes really delicious um addition to salads. I'm trying to think if I do wraps, sometimes I'll add it in wraps. And and you can also do a sweet version of some of these whole grains for breakfast if you want an alternative to oatmeal.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know that you're good with adding variety there. And like I said in the previous episodes, like I almost always just do protein shake in the morning, but it's like the morning is a great time to get the whole grains in.
Mhm.
And you can make a variety of different things, whether it's oatmeal or make some kind of bake. I know quinoa is just a go-to of mine, and I'll add it into bowls. When you were talking, it made me think of one of my favorite quinoa-based recipes is like a enchilada bake.
Mm.
But the base is quinoa and black beans, and then you top it, or in a lot of veggies, top it with corn tortillas, and then make a little enchilada sauce. And you can also make a plant-based cheese if you want for on top. That one's really good. I like with farro. I feel like I need to get more creative with farro because when I've had it before, like I'll just cook it, put a few seasonings in it, and then it's like I'll have my veggies, kind of like plate method, my
Yeah.
protein, and then I'll
Yep.
have farro, and it's like I'm not doing anything too crazy with it. But it's
Yeah.
like if I am on Pinterest, has been because I'm not on
It's
social media as
such a
much anymore, but
good
Pinterest,
resource,
it
Pinterest.
is. I
What
love
use it.
Pinterest, but I'm like, I
Mhm.
need to probably look at some more fair recipes because it's just, oh my gosh, my dog's sleeping and he's wagging his tail. He's so cute. He's so precious.
Oh,
Um, I digress. I'm trying to think of any other. I mean, brown rice is a really easy one to throw
so
into
easy. And for stir
meals.
fries,
Hmm.
Plant U has this really awesome one pot meal where she uses white rice and I make it with quinoa because that's a whole grain and it has the same cook time. So I throw that in, you throw the liquid in, and then you throw in some broccoli, some frozen peas and carrots. It has a hoisin based sauce that she puts in, and then she puts in, I think, smoked tofu, but I haven't been able to find that. So I just throw in some of the Trader Joe's sriracha tofu, and then you just cook that down all in one pot. It is delicious. I think
Oh,
it's one pot fried rice or one pot veggie rice she might have put it out as. So that was a great option
hmm.
for quinoa, and it is delicious and you can eat it all week, and the whole family really liked it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds those one pot meals are really nice.
Oh, love them.
Um, which is a good lead in because I was going to talk about myths, misconceptions, tips, tricks. One of them being I don't have time because it's like, oh, whole grains, that's going to take forever to cook. So you're kind of already addressed that. Do you have anything else you want to add as far as if someone's like, I don't have time to eat whole grains?
You, there are some options at Trader Joe's for pre-cooked brown rice and maybe some other whole grains. But get an instant pot and cook your grains and beans in bulk, and then you can freeze them in portions and just pull out what you need. It's so easy. I swear everybody thinks a instant pot is great for all these animal foods, but for plant-based cooking, it is amazing. And I remember saying I don't feel like I need an instant pot. I could just use the stovetop. I that thing could live on my counter. I got one for Mother's Day. I did not want to like it.
That's kind of where I'm at because I'm like, I'm fine without, I don't have one. I'm a Instapot.
Oh,
I know. We haven't gotten into, I didn't want you to judge me, but I don't have an
oh,
Instapot. I'll
oh.
just end right here. No, I'm just kidding. But you're selling me on it because it does seem like it's just such an easy, quick way
Oh my
to
gosh,
do it.
it is. I did, like I said, I did not want to like it. I had an old school pressure cooker, but I got the Instant Pot, the Ninja Foodie Instant Pot air fryer. I use it to cook my grains and beans. I've been making these scoopable beans in it where they're steamed, so you just cook it. They stay loose in the freezer.
Oh, I saw you
Um,
post about that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I've been making yogurt in it, the soy. You just add a carton of the
Mm.
soy milk to it, and then it boils it, cools it, and then you add a couple tablespoons of like a plant-based yogurt. It just cooks it overnight. You have, a yogurt that has no sugar, two
Yeah.
ingredients. It's amazing.
Hmm.
But for whole grains, it does make it so fast and easy. And you can cook, multiple types in there. It's just very easy. You can do it on the stove top, but this I feel like cuts the amount of time.
Yeah, yeah.
The
Well,
coconut.
I now want one, and like I told you off camera, moving soon. My kitchen's pretty
Yes,
tight right now, but I'm like moving, I'll have more space. I
a
think
little
that
more
might be
space.
on my list, and my birthday's
Mhm.
coming up. So,
Yeah.
by the time this posts, my birthday will be over, so don't worry about
Yeah.
it, everyone. But another like kind of misconception, I feel like we've already touched on this a little bit, but like I don't know what to buy. And so we've gone over a lot of them. You've talked about buying them in bulk. If
Mhm.
you're wanting like low-hanging fruit that's easy to find at most grocery stores, we talked about brown rice, quinoa is I think just about every grocery
Yeah.
store, even like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
smaller Walmarts. Yeah.
Yes.
Farro's at a lot, barley, oats are at a lot. So it's like those, don't get intimidated. I would say start with those few,
Mhm.
and then go from there. Another like tip trick I would say is look for whole, like if you have bread with
Mhm.
what you're eating and you're a white bread person, start trying to introduce whole grain bread. And again, make sure it says whole grain or sprouted grain, and just like start working that in. It does taste different, but you know you're going to be fuller. You're getting the more
Right.
nutrition, a lot more nutrition there. So,
And
um,
you can also find white whole wheat, which can trick your brain into thinking it's white bread, but it's actually a different strain of wheat, and it's a little more rare, but you can find white whole wheat um and make you can make your own bread with it. And I don't know, if it might be hard to find white whole wheat pre-made bread, but if you're in the whole like bread making phase, it's kind of a fun thing to experiment with. I feel
phase.
like everybody goes through that.
I like how you said phase
Sourdough,
because it was a phase for me. I mean, I would love to get back into it, but I was
COVID.
like, yeah. Was it during? I think it was. Gosh, I
I
sound so
really got
basic.
into sourdough during COVID. I had a sourdough starter and then I ended up killing it. I dropped it. So
Oh no. Yeah, mine turned black in the fridge because
yeah,
I didn't do anything with it. So that's funny because I was like, I'm making everything sourdough and I love bread,
right,
which I would
right.
love to get back into. But I have white whole wheat and like that's a good tip because it's like it's a little different, a little better tasting and it looks like white bread. So,
Yes. Yes. And I think another tip is if you've got a family that likes white everything and your taste buds are not adjusted, you can do where you cook half and half and mix it together.
mm,
So in the Instant Pot, I cooked like white jasmine rice and brown rice together, and I cooked it to the brown rice timing because it takes longer. And my daughter loves it. So it's kind of a way to start adding more whole grains, but still have a little bit of the white rice flavor.
hmm.
Another thing is if you're baking, you can start adding a little bit of the whole wheat in there until your family's like, this tastes too healthy. And then you can just back off.
Trick him into being healthy. Like you're welcome. That's funny. Those are good tips. I love that. I feel like I had one and then I just lost it. So, I don't know, but,
If you think of it, you can put
um,
it in the notes.
that's true. I can always add it. But I mean, there's just so many benefits to eating the whole grains. Don't be scared. It is harder when you're out. But just from the grocery store standpoint, we went over several, that you can add into your diet. So before we wrap up here, Dawn, is there anything else that you want to add as far as whole grains go?
Um, I think it's just to reiterate, it's one of those things where I'm I think that people are lump all the carbs together, and but nobody's eating whole grain. So I really encourage you to try eating them and noticing how you feel before and after. They really make you feel fuller longer, balance your blood sugar. I feel great after I eat them. And I'm really excited that the fitness industry is really starting to realize it can improve your performance vastly by adding whole grains and whole forms of carbohydrates. So I'm really
Mm-hmm.
excited that the fitness industry in general is getting away from 100%, you know, protein and focus on fat. And they're really starting to say we've got to be adding these carbohydrates for sustaining our performance and recovery. And So I'm excited about that. So that's the
Yeah.
only digression I would add.
Yeah, I love that. And when you were talking, it made me think of what I was thinking about, which was just kind of giving an example of like when we're talking about the refined grain, it's like if you're eating, well, at least say a veggie burger, but a veggie burger, whatever it is on white bread, and then you have cake. I'm just thinking of like a cookout, and all the things that have refined grains. It's like those are those simple carbs. Those are not helping you nutritionally at all. And if you're trying to lose weight, you are fighting an uphill battle because that is calorie dense. You're not getting those nutrients and you're not getting the fiber, so you're not feeling as full. So I know when we're shooting this, and this will be posted in July, it's like we're in the mix of, cookout season and stuff. And it's like, if you're just being more mindful of everything we've talked about so far, but since today we're talking about whole grains, where those whole grains are coming from. And if you can skip, maybe wrap the veggie burger in lettuce and skip the cake, all these things do add up. If you're being mindful, but those refined grains aren't helping you from the nutrition, health, weight loss, anything standpoint. So
That's so true. And I do encourage people to go beyond the whole wheat, the sprouted bread. Yes, those are fantastic swaps, but I really challenge everybody to actually try cooking whole grains from scratch, because the breads don't have the water in it. Like a cooked whole grain is full of fiber and water, and that's why it's so satiating. So the
yeah.
breads and things, even the whole grain ones, are a better choice, but they are a little
Hmm.
more calorie dense. So if you can really play around with adding those whole grains, and there's so many delicious types of cold salads, and just different ethnic dishes, and just they're really fun to play around with. So I really encourage
Hmm.
people to experiment with the actual cooking of the whole intact grains.
Love that. That's a great thing to end on, and a good challenge for everyone who's listening this week is to add in a, whole grain that's like one that you're making at home, or maybe you have your mom or your sister make it for you if you can wrap them into that, whatever it is. But try the whole grain in its intact form, and like you said earlier, just see how you feel before and after. And that is, it's good to listen to your body. So
Yeah, that's so true.
awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in today about whole grains. Next episode, we're going to be talking about plant-based eating as a lifestyle rather than a diet. So you're going to want to make sure to stay tuned. This is right now a 12 episode series. So we're getting towards the end now. We're going off of more of the specifics and talking general. So make sure you guys stay tuned, and we will see you next time.
Bye, everybody.